Welcome to another Back of the Net recording. This one is particularly aimed at the paper 2, which will be on the 8th of November 2012. It's a couple of hours, maybe 2 or 3 hours after the paper 1, which was on the 6th of November. I've had a look at the exam paper, particularly the OCR paper, had a look at what came up, what didn't come up on paper 1. This is my sort of guess at some topics that are likely to come up again. I can't promise they come up, but they're likely to come up, and that you may want to have a go at to make sure you can do. There are other topics that haven't come up that could come up, but I don't think they're quite so likely, or I think they're a bit tougher and you may not get the marks on them. But this is the simple topics I think you really need to make sure you can nail for Thursday's exam. I've normally, when I do these, I've gone through and done the questions first of all to make sure I know the answers. I haven't had time for that. I'm just going to go for it as we go through, so bear with me if I make a few mistakes. Okay, first topic is about transformations, and this one is triangle T has been drawn on the grid. There it is. On the grid, reflect triangle T in the y-axis. So the first step to here is to get some tracing paper, and then you would trace that on there. You would then trace down here and across there. I've done that already just to speed things up. So there's my tracing already done. And what I need to do now is take that away from there and then flip the piece of paper over. Just have to go to my computer to get that to work. So I'm going to just flip that piece of paper in the y-axis over. There it goes. And then drag it back over, line it where I was, and then get my pen and trace back over there. And because you've done it in pencil, the lead should come out on the page and you'll be able to draw in your new triangle, which was just in there. So that's the first one. The second bit says triangle Q has been drawn on a grid. On the grid, rotate triangle Q 90 degrees around the centre O. Unfortunately, they haven't drawn Q on this grid for me, so we're just going to go back and say we'll use triangle T again. So rotate triangle T. I'm going to go back to the start, so I've got my tracing paper again. I'll have to click on there and just flip it back to the way it originally was. Again, if you could just bear with me for this. Edit, flip in the y-axis. Right, we're back to where we started. And we're going to line it up over there. I've traced it already. I've now got to put at the centre 0. That means my pen here has got to be at the centre 0. They may have given you the point 2, 1, in which case you've got to turn the piece of paper about that point there. But they said centre 0, so I put it there. I then need to twist it 90 degrees clockwise, where the clock goes around that way. 90 degrees is round to there. This bit was originally pointing north here. Sorry, I've moved it. This bit was originally pinned pointing north. It's now moved round to point east, so I've now gone, it's in that grid down there. Take the paper away, quickly draw where it was before you forget. Question done. Okay, that one there, top one, was the reflect. This was the rotate. Another one you may get asked is the translate. Translate means slide. So we're going to trace a shape again, and again I've already copied one here for us. I've traced over it. I've now got to slide it -8 in the x direction, -2 in the y. So 8 backwards. I'm going to count as I do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fortunately, it's gone off the grid. And I've made a mistake there. Sorry. Look carefully at the axes. It's going up in 2s. I've just noticed. Thought it was fading off the grid, so it's going in 2s. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 2 down, 2 is there. So that's where the shape's going to be. Move your tracing paper out of the way and try and remember where it is. It was just there, I think. If I want to double check, that's the right shape. 2, 4, 6, 8, 2. Done. Okay, do take care with those axes, how they're labelled. I nearly fell for it then. Just check as you do it. Okay, next bit. Plotting a graph. You had one of these in paper 1, it was an x squared graph. Many of you got it correct, it was really good to see. This one here, y equals 2x plus 2. It's a linear graph, so it would be a straight line. I can cheat and plot those 2 points. 0, 2, so none along 2 up. That's 1 point there. And this one, -1, so 1 back, and none up. Now be careful, because again they've changed the axis, it's there. It's going up in 2s. Oh, sorry, each square is worth a half, so you need to go up 2s to count in 1s, and here it's different. Now you could just get a straight line and a ruler and draw that up through there. You'd be better off filling in this table, and they want it filled in. You could now use this, if you've done it accurately, to fill it in, or you could just do the rule. We know it is x, we're timesing by 2, and then we're adding 2. And we're going to do that for all of these coordinates. Don't start with a negative where it's tough. Start here. 1 times 2 is 2, add 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4, add 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6, add 2 is 8. Now we can begin to see we've got a pattern here. It's going up and down in 2s. We don't even have to do the hard bit there. 2 less than 0, minus 2. Filled in the table, that got me 1 mark. I can now plot those points more accurately. There was one there. 0, 0, 1 along 4 up. That was a good guess. 2 along 6 up. 3 along 8 up. My line was actually quite good for a freehand line. There we go. Now use your graph to find the value of y when x equals minus 1.5. So minus 1.5 is there. The value of the graph, draw a line down, read across, minus 1. When y equals 7, now be careful here, they're being crafty. When y equals 7, so I need to look up 7 on my axes. There it is in the y-axis. Go across to 7, do it with the ruler, read down, that's 2.5. Okay, fairly straightforward question there. Use the machine chain rule if you need to. Have a guess at the graph if you want to. And again, like the first question we did today, be careful with how those axes are numbered. Again, I nearly fell for it. Just check before you start. Okay, solving equations. This normally comes up on paper 1, but it didn't come up today. So we better make sure we can do it for paper 2. And it may be that you'll get some questions that we need you to do a calculator to solve, but these probably won't. So something m plus 5 equals 12. Well, I could do m plus the 5 gives me 12. So 12, opposite of that, or inverse, take the 5, is 7. M equals 7. 7 add 5 is 12. 3n equals 36. N times 3 gives me 36. 36, opposite of times 3 is divided by 3. 36 divided by 3 is 12. N equals 12. 3 times 12 is 36. X divided by 5 equals 10. X divide 5 gives me 10. 10 times by the 5 gives me 50. I think x equals 50. Let's check it. 50 divided by 5 is 10. Yep. Okay. Solve 4y plus 7 equals 13. This is a two-step problem. Y times by 4 plus the 7. I'll draw this a little more neatly as it's a two-stepper. Gives me 13. Working backwards. 13 minus the 7 divided by 4. So 13, take the 7, is 6. 6 divided by 4. Well, you're going to have a calculator. You might as well do it on a calculator, even though you ought to do it otherwise. 6 divided by 4 is 3 over 2, or 1.5. Okay. This one here, I've put this one in because it's one of the trickiest ones you can likely to get. First step, I've got to multiply the bracket. 5k plus 5 equals 3k plus 12. I've now got k's on both sides. I can take 3 k's from that side to give me no k's, but that means I've got to take 3 from this side. The whole idea of the balance, I shan't draw it out. We're left with 2k plus 5 equals 12. Okay, two-stepper again, k times 2, add the 5, gives me 12, so 12, subtract the 5, which is 7, divided by the 2, 3.5. Okay, we didn't get anything on inequalities. I'm surprised by that. Again, it's normally the paper one, but let's do it in case it comes up. K is an integer. Really important word. That means you've got to stick to whole numbers. Positive or negative, but they've got to be whole numbers. List all the possible values of K. Well, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3 would be my starting point. I can be equal to minus 1, so that can be in there. At the other end, I've got to be less than 3, so I can't have the 3. That's my answer, minus 1, 0, 1, 2. N is an integer. Got to know that word again. Write down all the possible values of n. It's going between minus 2 and 5, so let's write them out. Minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got to be less than 5. Can't have that end. I can be equal to minus 2, so I can have this end. That's my answers there. You might want to do it in pencil and rub it out. We'll just do that, make it really clear. Inequality's done. Right, here we go. Proper calculator question this. Here is a tile in the shape of a semicircle. The diameter of the semicircle is 8. So we know across there is 8. Work out the perimeter of the tile. Give your answer correct to 2 decimal places. So the first thing we've got to do is find this distance and then add that 8 to it. That's part of a circle. And we know from my little song, Twinkle, twinkle, little star, circumference is 2 pi r. Okay. The radius. Well, we know that's 8 for the diameter, so it'll be half of that, so the radius equals 4. I've got to double that and times it by pi. So it's 4 times 2 times pi, and that will give me the circumference. I'm going to do that now on the calculator. I'm going to do it on my own calculator. This calculator up here is just to show you what to do, but it doesn't actually work, unfortunately. But I will be pressing 4 times 2 times, and now the pi button, it's not very clear on this image here, is that button there, but on your calculator you'll be able to see it. It's got a little pi sign there. I need it to be shift pi, or shift times 10 to get the little pi sign that's above it in yellow. I'll do that again quickly. That whole of that calculation is going to be 4 times 2 times shift pi equals, do that quickly on my calculator, 4 times 2 times shift pi equals, now it's telling me it's 8 pi. I need to press the SD button, this one here, to get it as a decimal, SD, and it tells me it's 25.1327, and so on. However, that would be for a whole circle all the way around here. I've only got half of it, so the next job, divide by 2, and that gives me 4 pi, so I SD it again, and that's going to give me 12.56637 ... I've now worked out that bit there. The perimeter is that bit there, plus of course that 8. So I need this answer, add another 8, plus 8 on my calculator, plus 8 to my previous answer, and I get 20.56637 ... The question said to 2 decimal places, so let's chop it off at 2 decimal places. First decimal place, second decimal place. I'll chop it off there. That's more than 5, so I need to round that number up there. So my final answer is going to be 20.57. Make sure, they said it was in centimetres, make sure you write centimetres there to get the unit mark. Okay. Second circle question coming up. This one's about area. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, circumference is 2 pi r. Though I know you do not care, area is pi r squared. Make sure you've learned that for the exam. That's the formula we're going to need. The diagram shows a circular pond with a path around it. There's your pond, and there's the path. Work out the area of the path. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, so I've got to find the area of this grey thing here. Well, that's clearly the whole circle, big one there, area, all of that space in there. Take away the space of the white one. So you may just write down grey, subtract white. You may be lucky and pick up a mark for that, just for knowing what to do, even if you can't actually do it. So I'm now going to work out the grey one. And the grey one is twinkle, twinkle, little stars, pi r squared. So r is 5, so it's pi times 5 squared. You can type on the calculator, shift pi times 5x squared is that one there. And you'll get 25 pi. And 25 pi, if you press SD, equals 78.539816, da 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 da. So that's the grey one. That's not the grey one, is it? I've got that incorrect because I used 5. Sorry, that was the white one. Now I'll do the grey one. The grey one is going to be all that distance, which is 5 plus another 1 makes 6. So for the grey, it's pi times 6 squared, which is going to be 36 pi. Just working out my calculator now. And that's 113.09735. Dum, 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 dum. Now, to work out this bit here, I've got to do the grey one minus the white. So it's going to be 113.09735, take away 78 point whatever. I'm going to do that on my calculator now. 78.53981 equals, and my answer there is 34.55752. I'm going to stop there. They wanted 3 significant figures, so I can have 1, 2, 3 numbers, chop it off. That's a 5, so I need to round that number there up. So my final answer is going to be 34.6. Make sure that point's visible. Don't forget the unit, centimetres. No, it's not centimetres. Metres squared, because it's an area. Okay, remember that formula. Remember the song. Sounds a bit silly, but just do it. Okay, my favourite topic. Pythagoras. I like this because it's so straightforward. You should remember from my little poster. Plus, minus, minus. Okay. Here we go then. ABC is a right angle triangle. A is 5. A to C is 9. 5, 9. Work out the length of B to C. B, C. Correct 2 decimal places. Okay, first of all, draw on there. 5 squared, 25. Nice big one on there. 9 squared, 81. Now this one is going to be combining those 2 facts there. It's a takeaway because it's on the biggest side. So it's going to be 81 subtract 25. I'll do that on the calculator now. 81 subtract 25 equals 56. So the square of this side is 56. I'm going to need the square root of 56 to find the length. So I'm now going to press square root on my calculator, and square root is that button there. Okay, square root 56, and I will press square root 5, 6, and then the equal sign, which is hidden behind there. Square root 56 equals, and this gives me 2 root 14, which may look complicated, but whenever you get something you don't like, you press the SD button. Press the SD button, that's nicer. 7.483314 and a bit more. They wanted 2 decimal places, so chop it off at 2 decimal places, first, second. That's a 3, so we don't need to round up, leave as it is. Final answer, 7.483314. centimetres. Now, does that make sense? Well, in the picture, it's a bit longer than the other side, and it's less than the longer side, which it has to be. I'm quite happy. I reckon that's right. That's Pythagoras for you. Remember, find the longest side, you're going to add them. Find either of the two shorter sides, you're going to be doing a subtraction. Okay. This is definitely a calculator question because it says work out on the calculator. The crucial bit here is the use of the brackets. Now the brackets on the calculator are there and there. This long division, sorry, I shouldn't say long division, that's something else, but the long line here means it's all of the top bit divided by all of the bottom bit. And if you just write that, actually write it like that on the paper, you're bound to get the question right. Because I'm now going to type in on my calculator bracket 4.6 plus 3.85, and then it says close the bracket, so I press close bracket, divide, then a new bracket, 3.2 x squared minus 6.51, close the bracket, and then press equals. I'm going to do that now on my calculator, just bear with me when I do it. Press the bracket, 4.6 plus 3.85, close the bracket, now the long divide sign, so just press divide on the calculator. New bracket, 3.2, square it with the x squared button, minus 6.51, close the bracket, press equals, and it's given me 845 divided by 373. Okay, now this is going to be an issue because they're not expecting your calculator to give it as a fraction like that. So I'd write that there, but then I'd also SD it and write down everything on the calculator display, which is 2.265 41555. Okay, that's that bit done. Give your answer to part A, this bit, correct to one significant figure. Have one figure, chop it off there. I'll actually do it for you. Cut it off there. It'd be 2. That's less than 5, so it stays as 2. Answer 2. Okay, another one to quickly do for you. Again, you put the brackets in. You can always do the brackets, man. Bracket, bracket, all of that divided by all of that. That's what that long line means, and that's nearly always what they test. So I'm now going to enter that. Bracket 2, bracket, divide, bracket 1.5 plus 2.45, close the bracket, press equals. I'm going to do it on my calculator now. Bracket 2 divided by, close bracket, divided by bracket 1.5 plus 2.45, close the bracket, equals. And again, it's giving me it as a fraction, which is 40 over 79. So write that there, always write that one down. Now SD it, and it's 0.5063291139. Now what's interesting here, it says you must give your answer as a decimal. This paper was June 2010. The last question we did was June 2009. And the examiners now realise that most students and most of you are using the calculator to give fractions. So they've now told you that you've got to give it as decimal. So I suspect that on Thursday they'll be telling you to give it you as a decimal. Okay, last bit. Write your answer correct to 2 decimal places. We're getting good at this now. Chop it off at 2. That's a 6, so you'd have to round that up. So 50 would become 51. So the answer would be 0.51. Okay. Moving on. Right, big point question this one. Sometimes 4, sometimes 5. It's a lot of work for it, but it comes up every single year. We've done a bit of this in class, hopefully. I'm just going to do it how I would do it as we go through it. So, the equation x cubed plus 2x equals 60 has a solution between 3 and 4. Use trial and improvement. Now that's basically guess and guess again. However, once you've had one guess, you should better improve your guessing. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. You must show all your working. That's really crucial, that bit there. So, we know that x, the answer to x, has got to be between 3 and 4. It's somewhere between those two. I'm going to go for a halfway guess. So I'm going to do 3.5 cubed plus 2 times 3.5. And I type that in my calculator. Here we go. I'll do the cube bit on here for you. It's 3.5 and x cubed. I'm sorry, on my calculator, this one here. This button here. You check on yours. So it's 3.5 x cubed plus 2 times 3.5. I'll do my calculator now. 3.5 cubed plus 2 times 3.5 equals, and it's given to me as a fraction, but if I do it, I'll get 49.875. Now I'm aiming for 60, and clearly that is too small. You must write small. I sometimes call this Goldilocks column. You must write small there, because you get a mark for evaluating your calculation. You need to say, well, is that too big or is it too small? It's too small. I'm going to go up a couple. I'm going to go for 3.7 this time. So 3.7 cubed plus 2 times 3.7 equals. Now on your calculator, you can use the replay button here and here just to go back and change that 0.5 to a 0.7. I'm going to try and do that now. So delete that one to be a 7, and delete that one there, on mine there to be a 7, and straight away it's done it for me, and this time the answer's come out to be 58.053. Again, I'm too small. Right, let's try another one. Let's try 3.8. Doing a different colour again for you. Get you interested. 3.8 cubed plus 2 times 3.8 equals. God, that pen's really not working well today. Okay, and again, I'm just going to do the replay button on my calculator and change the 7s there, the 0.7s to 0.8s. I'm not as quick as you, as some of you I see in a lesson, but I'll get there eventually. And that's given me an answer of 62.472. And that's good because that one's too big. So I know the answer must be somewhere between 3.7 and 3.8. But it's told me, give your answer correct to one decimal place. I can only work to one decimal place, and I'm already there. So it's either going to be 3.7 or 3.8. I've got to work out which is nearer. Now, generally speaking, you can see that's 2 away, that's 2.4 away. So that's actually, yeah. So this one here is nearer. So you could just say it's 3.7. However, they like you to calculate a middle point, and I'll do that in orange. So halfway between those two is 3.75. So I now do the same calculation with that, plus 2 times 3.75. Just going to go to my replay. 75. And that's telling me it's 60.2. 23 something. Okay, now if I know this halfway point is already too big, it must be nearer to this answer here. So my answer was 3.7, which I knew. Down here, you're just going to write nicely 3.7. I just want to quickly go over where you get marks for this. So you'll get 1 mark for trying a value and evaluating it. That's 1 mark. You get another mark normally for another one, and another mark for a third one. You then get another mark for saying how you know which one's right, and then 1 for writing it down. Okay, that's quite long-winded. Hope you get it. We've done a bit of revision in class, so you should get there. Let's do this one as well quickly. The equation x cubed plus 10x equals 25 has a solution between 1 and 2. Use trial and improvement method to find a solution. You must give your answer correct to one decimal place. You must show all your working. Here we go, let's go through it again. So, I know it's between 1 and 2, let's start with 1.5. This time my equation is 1.5 cubed plus 10 times 1.5. Let's work out what that is. I'm going to start again. 1.5 x cubed plus 10 times 1.5 equals 18.375. That's too small. So I'm going to bump up a little bit. Let's go for 1.8 this time. Just having a guess. Don't really know what it's going to be. Write it out. Forgot the equals from that one. I'm going to go on the replay button. If it's 1.8, the answer comes out to be 23.83. Again, I'm not doing very well at guessing today. That's too small. Let's try another one. 1.9 cubed plus 10 times 1.9 equals, again I'm going from a replay just because it really speeds things up, 25.85. Okay, that's too big. That's lucky. Ooh, oh, I put bigger or big, doesn't really matter. So, it's going to be between these two here, between 1.8 and 1.9. We're aiming for 25. Clearly, 25.85 is nearer to 25, what we're aiming for, than 23. So my answer is going to be 23 is going to be 1.9. Okay, well, we know that's true. However, if we want to get maximum marks, we've got to go through this rigmarole of trying 1.85. So I do 1.85 cubed plus 10 times 1.85 equals, go back on the old replay, and the answer to that one is 24.8316 something something something. I can only work to one decimal place, so I've got to be 1.8 or 1.9. I do this business of the 1.85 to check the halfway point. If you're not understanding why that is, it doesn't really matter, but please do actually do that line there and say what it is. Because if you do that, you've got an extra mark just for repeating what you've already done, really. If you don't understand why it is, just use what I would call basic common sense. That's clearly nearer to 25 than that, so this one here, 1.9, is going to be my answer. There we go, that is my final answer. But I had this line here written in, so at least I've got the marks for that line, even if I don't know what on earth I was doing it for, I've got a mark for it. It might be one mark that makes a difference between a D and a C. 7 people last year, it was one mark, the difference between a D and a C. And I tell you, for the 3 people that missed a C by 1 mark, I bet they really regretted not bothering to write that out. Okay, that's it. I got through that quicker than I thought. Hope that's been useful to you. There are lots of topics on there. I've rushed through it. Play it again if you need to. Come and see me if you need to chat about that. This video was specifically for the paper 2 that's going to be on the 9th of November, the 8th of November 2012. I'll probably delete this video afterwards, but this is the one you should have watched if that's the exam you're doing. It's particularly aimed also at the OCR paper, foundation paper. Good luck. I saw how hard you worked today. Some of you are in that exam room for nearly 4 hours. You may be feeling really fed up by now, but I can tell you in 10 years' time you'll be so glad you did it and that you got your grade C. Well done. See you on Thursday.